All right. Welcome to episode 3 of Grappling Monthly, the podcast that celebrates Jiu-Jitsu, the community, the culture, the people. I'm very humbled and happy to be joined today by Professor Anthony Cruz.
What's up? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
The best things coming through, huh?
Absolutely. 100%. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content that Grappling Monthly is putting out, please like and subscribe. It's going to help keep the content coming. On all our platforms, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, etc. Thank you. All right. Without any further ado, let's get started.
Let's get started.
Anthony, brother, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
This
awesome
is
to
great.
be on your podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't know you did it here at Legacy Glendale.
It's true.
So cool. Wow.
We're on location today. Very gracious host to let me redecorate slightly.
Nice setup. I might keep it like this.
You never know, right?
That way the parents can't look at their kids just gonna sit like this.
Just trust that the jiu-jitsu is good, is happening. Yeah. Awesome, dude. First of all, Legacy. I want to get to Legacy Glendale and the school and the programs and stuff, but I was hoping to get to know a little bit about your cheminement is the word in French for some reason that comes to mind. Kind of your path, your like how you came across jiu-jitsu. What got you interested? What got you hooked? Right?
Yeah. And well, I've always been a big fan of MMA and the UFC, watching the UFC fights. Mm-hmm. But when I was younger, I didn't really understand when I would hear like Joe Rogan talking about, oh, is jiu-jitsu so good? Oh, is Muay Thai? Oh, this and if he goes to side control. And I'm like, I just had obviously no understanding. It was like a different language. Mm. So I wanted to have a better understanding of it. So I knew I wanted to either get into jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai. I moved to Hollywood in December of 2011. And my first week when I was there, they left a flyer in my car. And it said, Gracie Baja Hollywood.
Nice.
Come try a class for free. It was literally 7-8 minutes walking distance from my place.
Wow.
So I walked over and I walked in, and Jonathan Gross, he was my first jiu-jitsu coach ever, was there. And that school was owned by Alberto Crane. Nice. So I walked in and I'm like, I want to claim my free class. And he's like, oh, yeah, for sure. How'd you find us? He's like, oh, the flyer in my car. And he got very excited because they said they had been flying for like almost a week.
Okay.
And I was one of 3 that had called about the flyer. So flyers do work if you guys are trying to do promotions. Okay, just go around and do some flyers,
Yeah.
But I did my first jiu-jitsu class. I remember the first choke I got submitted with was a cross collar choke from closed guard. And a good friend of mine, Heath, he caught me in it. Who still trains today. He actually, it's really cool. And he came to visit here actually one time. So after that, I almost passed out. I was standing against the wall because you're just trying to pass the guard. And I loved it. I signed up and never stopped.
Nice.
Yeah, that was my first time. December of 2011. That's when I started jiu-jitsu.
Right on.
And stayed with been with the same team and the same people since day one.
Nice. That's awesome. So thank you, Heath, for the cross choke.
Yeah.
Because it really started you down a journey there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. I like that you remember that first submission too. I have no idea what the first.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I couldn't tell you.
I remember it vividly. It was, and I thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
Because after he tapped me with it, I was like, what was that? And he's like, I'll show you afterwards. Keep going. I was like, because I was like, you can use these to choke someone?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And
That's amazing. So you got choked in the first class. You were hooked. You kept going.
And I kept getting choked a lot. As you know, right? When you get started, you're usually the one getting submitted a whole lot. So I was, but it was good. It was fun. And I learned a lot.
What is it about, can you explain maybe for those who might not do jiu-jitsu, like getting choked could be like almost scary, daunting experience, but like, how does it go from being this completely foreign thing to just being like, whoa, that was so cool. Show me how you did that. And then you end up, learning those techniques and stuff.
Yeah. I think it like obviously to like a layman, right? It sounds scary when you say, oh, getting choked. And it was like, oh, cool. Because, nobody wants to get actually choked, right?
Yeah.
I think what's always been, I think, very great, what's been great about Legacy, and we used to be Gracie Bob, but now Legacy, I think it's always been a very welcoming environment. Mm-hmm. So nobody ever, like I've never felt like, in all my years of training, like nobody was ever trying to hurt me.
Right.
It was always so apply the submission, you tap, and then everybody's always been very happy to teach and show you how it goes. And I think that's very different and very important, like to find that at a gym to where it's welcoming, of course, where you should get beat up a little bit, right? A lot actually, but also where people are willing to open up and show you, hey, this is what you did wrong. This is how you do this. This is what I did. And that's, I think, what made it great for me is that afterwards, he did show me how he did the cross collar choke.
Nice.
And then, as you know, in the next class, I'm trying to set it up all incorrectly, but I was trying it, and then it's great, So I think that's what really makes it fun. And jiu-jitsu is like they say, it's human chess, right? It's like never ending. There's always something to learn. It's just an infinity encyclopedia. You just keep going and learning. So I think that's what makes it so great.
Nice. I can definitely attest to trying to apply cross chokes and other things like incorrectly, and then thankfully, there always being someone there to kind of be like, try this instead, and then that light goes off, right? And then you're like, oh, that's what you were doing.
Yeah.
I like what you said about the welcoming environment too, because I can also say that immediately walking into Legacy, in my case, it was in Burbank, right? I think it was actually one of your classes.
Oh, really?
Because you used to teach the 7:30 advanced
class.
Yeah, an hour and a half of like intense work, which I loved, and the atmosphere was competitive but friendly. Yeah. Right. So I felt like, okay, I'm in a safe learning environment, but I'm also pushing, my limits here with new people. So. Yeah, I think that's so important.
That's so cool. I did not know that was actually one of your first classes.
Cool. Yeah, I actually didn't meet Alberto until like a lot later.
Wow.
Yeah, because just different schedules.
Yeah, because you were coming in the evening. And teaches like the noon classes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you didn't just like keep training jiu-jitsu. You also actively competed.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that. Like, was it like, did you always have that competitive spirit? Was it something that it was like completely foreign and you wanted to try? Like, how'd you get into the competition?
I've always had a competitive nature. I mean, even as a kid, like when my mom would get home with my sisters and I from the groceries, I'd want to make sure I carry the most grocery bags up. You know what I mean? I've always been competitive and always like want to get really good at whatever I was doing, whatever I've done or whatever I do. So when I heard about competitions, it's obviously you don't know anything about it first, and then your teammates are talking to you about it. So like, sure, I'll do one. And the first one I did, because we were still Gracie Baja, the first tournament I did was the Gracie Baja Hollywood in-house, not a Gracie Baja in-house tournament.
Okay.
Where it's only like it's not like our in-house tournaments. It's actually it's a tournament where they rent out a venue, but you could only be Gracie Baja. You have to be from a Gracie Baja school.
Yeah.
I remember I lost that tournament. But I lost my points. But I remember I had to start learning Spider Guard. I have a video of my first tournament too. I was playing some cool Spider Guard, and then I just didn't know what to do from there. But I just kept like switching back and forth. I almost swept. He came up on mount. I escaped mount. I passed his guard. Then he recovered, and then I got swept. It was like a back and forth.
Nice.
And then I ended up losing by like 2 points. And then after that, I loved it. Yeah. And then I wanted to keep doing more and more and more. Nice. And, I grew up playing sports, football, baseball. I was very good at baseball. I was a quarterback at playing football. So as I came already from an athletic background, volleyball was also very good. Did volleyball for many years. And my mom never allowed me to do any contact sport. Like, well, I guess not contact because football is contact, but boxing more so. My uncle, his son used to box. Yeah. So I wanted to get into it. So he had started getting me into it. My mom saw me get punched. She's like, nope. I don't want him doing this. Yeah. My mom's a single mom. She raised me and my two sisters. Okay, yeah. So, the mom, I understand being protective.
Props to you, mom.
Yeah. She's like, nope, I don't want him getting punched. I don't want him to do it. So I never grew up doing any of those like contact sports. And then when I found jiu-jitsu, I fell in love with it. And
like, no strikes, mom. We're good.
Yeah, exactly. No strike. But nice. And I love competing. It's like it tests you, and you really get to go out there and try your game. And win or lose, I don't think that's obviously it's great to win, right? The highs are highs and the lows are lows, and it does suck obviously to lose. But you still always will learn something. You can take a piece of that person's game and see what you did wrong, and then apply that to your game, and then continue to get better. Nice. And it's definitely a fast track to get better too.
Yeah. They say, I've heard, I should say, that you progress like the equivalent of 3 to 6 months in certain cases, you know, which is just the experience.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. That's the most important is the experience. You know, it's like it's great to win. It's great to win, but what you're getting out of it is so much more valuable, whether you win or lose.
Yeah. So that's another thing that I honestly coming from Canada, right? Like not growing up here. One thing that was almost intimidating at first is how much jiu-jitsu is here, right? Like it's
the Mecca,
right? Like outside of Brazil itself, it's literally I think the place that has the most jiu-jitsu in the world. And somebody's gonna fact check me and prove me wrong. Maybe I don't know.
Texas would probably I think be the other one where I would say is like a big one too.
Fair enough.
I would say Brazil, Texas, and Los Angeles.
Yeah. So
California.
Was there any like you mentioned Gracie Barra, and that's a big network, right, of schools in and of its own. Was there any cross-pollination with other schools, or was there rivalries? Like, or did you end up making friends at competitions that were also in other schools? Like, how is it growing up in a place that is like, I wouldn't say saturated, but that is like steeped in jiu-jitsu?
I will say something that's fun about competing is a lot of the people that you compete against are going to be the same people that you're going to be seeing as you go through your blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, black belt. There is, this was actually so cool. I remember I did a Grappler's X, and I think I got bronze or silver at that tournament. Anyway, point is, there was one guy I went against, got him in an ankle lock, and you know, after the match, I was a blue belt at the time. After I won or whatever. And then I did my first Jiu-Jitsu World League a couple of years ago as a black belt. And I'm standing there, and this guy comes up to me. He's like, "Hey," he's like, "I don't know if you remember me." But we competed against each other years ago. I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, Grappling X. You caught me with an ankle lock." And I was like, "Oh, I remember." Because once I saw his face, I was like, "Because I have a video of it too." And I was like, "Oh, I remember you know." And he was a black belt and in my same division still.
Damn.
And it was so cool.
Nice.
Like it was not like, "Oh, now I got to." It was it was so cool that he continued on, that I continued on, and it's like, and when we found each other, like I think that's just makes it really cool with jiu-jitsu. It's like, even though obviously you're out there competing, you know, no one's, I don't think, is out there to try to hurt each other. It's just you're out there to compete, to showcase your jiu-jitsu, showcase your game. You know, hopefully the person knows when to tap, because at the end of the day, it's still competition. So if they're not going to tap, you got to, keep going. But you know, assuming the person has no ego, they tap and you get caught. It's great and it's fun. It's so cool. That I thought that moment was so cool to see, like, man, like all these years, and like we found each other again through jiu-jitsu, and still in that same weight division.
No way.
And eventually I'm sure we'll compete against each other again.
Yeah. Did you end up competing?
We didn't. No. We didn't. Not that day, but. Yeah, he's in my weight class, so I made a joke. I was like, "Oh, I say, well, if we go against each other, I'm going to attack an ankle again." And he started laughing. I was like, "Yeah," okay. But it was cool. It was like a cool moment. It was great.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's gonna have nightmares maybe. About ankle locks, right? Yeah, that's awesome. It's also being a practitioner and having been around jiu-jitsu for a while, like it's such a long journey, right? That it resonates with me what you said about, like, it's cool that he stuck with it, and then on my side, I stuck with it, right? Because it's very possible that lives go in different directions, and then to meet each other, like, how many years, like, give or take, do you know, like, how many years in between that first match? And
I mean, if I was a blue belt, that was maybe 2013, 2014.
Okay, yeah.
And then I did my first Jiu-Jitsu World League when was maybe like 2-3 years, maybe like 3 years ago.
Right,
4 years
so
ago?
like 8 years. Yeah. Nice. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So early days, you're into it, you're competing. Did you have any like mentors or people that you were either looking up to or chasing, like, or wanting to emulate?
Really was the people that I had teaching me, which was Coach Jonathan Gross. He was like my first jiu-jitsu coach. He was a purple belt. So good, like very technical. He was like just so good. And then Professor Alberto. It's really like, speaking of ankle locks, that's how I picked it up.
Nice.
It's like that's always been one of his bread and butters. And I remember I learned it from him, and I picked it up early on as a white belt. And when I found out it was legal in competition to do as white belt, I just started attacking, and I kept doing it in blue belt. And I mean, I think for me that they were like my two that I would really like aspire to and look up, and like when they would roll together, for me, it'd be like, oh, Morpheus is fighting Neo.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be like that for me. You know, like whenever like rolling against each other, it'd be like, oh, because both of them would always obviously beat me up. So it was that for me was very cool, and like getting to learn from them and watching them and understanding their game and taking as much as I could from them was for me. I think that's especially because when you first start, you're not really looking. You're not on YouTube a whole lot. And so like later, once you get started, then obviously I started learning about the Hodger Gracies and other people like that. But in the beginning, that for me was them two.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. I've had the pleasure of taking a class taught by Alberto that was like the ankle lock was the topic, right? And for those of you who might have taken that class, like Alberto gets a little shout out to the Professor Alberto. He gets a little twinkle in his eye, like just little details that are like immediately I need to tap because this is tight. Right? Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
So like one question that I have, and this is like something that I think different people have different opinions on. Does body type matter? Like, for example, I know that like you're a little bit taller than Alberto, for example. And at some point, did you look to people that were similar in stature or had similar builds to you for like insight into a game that would fit your body? Or were you like, kind of just deciding that on the fly and like, how did that develop? Does that make a difference? Or?
I definitely think it plays a difference because someone like me with longer legs, like I love playing De La Hiva, to really stretch out my opponents, X guard, single leg X, even though I think with that, but like someone maybe with shorter legs is not going to be able to shoot up a triangle the way I can shoot up a triangle, right? Because I could, but then also like, that guard break to do where you put two arms underneath the armpits and you sit up and you squat down.
Yeah.
That for me is so hard to do because I got long legs. And someone maybe with like shorter legs or smaller body, they're a little more compact so they can get there and sit into that position. I love that guard break, but it's like I'm so long. I'm like, for me to have to like stretch out and get my knee in here, for me, I'd rather just grab the sleeve and stand up and push down. So I definitely do think body types play into a factor. Not saying that you cannot do what someone taller does or someone that's taller who's shorter that you can do, but there's definitely going to be things that are more favorable to you and your game and your body type. Nice. That's going to help. I think that's plays a big factor.
Yeah.
So, I would say.
Are you destined to have a good triangle game then, as like someone with longer legs?
I think if you have long legs, there should be no excuse why you can't triangle. It's like it's a blessing. It's like it's good. But then at the same time, there's again other types of games that I cannot play or won't play or it just doesn't fit my style because body types, like I said, not saying that I won't. I will always like have an open mind and try to learn and try to apply it. But sometimes it just doesn't work, And I think that goes with a lot of stuff in jiu-jitsu. You take everything and you see what fits your game and what you really like and what's going to stick, and you go from there.
How long did it take you to kind of start developing your own personality, your own style in jiu-jitsu? Was it something that kind of like happened immediately and then just continued evolving, or is it something that like, I don't know, like at blue or purple, you're like, yeah, this is what I like. This is my package. This is my A game type of thing.
I one of the things I always tell my students is, as you develop your game, you're gonna develop what's called your black belt move, right? Where like at an early stage of your jiu-jitsu, you're gonna have a move where it's like, no matter what day of the week it is, if you get this, you're gonna catch anybody.
Nice.
For me in the beginning, that was my ankle lock. Like as a white belt. I'm not gonna say the name, but I remember one time Alberto had a seminar. He was a UFC fighter, big. He was at the time was a big UFC fighter. He was actually a UFC champion too, and we went over to roll, and I caught him with a straight ankle lock. I was a blue belt, and he was already a black belt, and I caught him with a straight ankle lock, and he was like, "Oh shit, that was like awesome." And that was my black belt move.
Nice.
Like that, like if I caught your ankle,
it was gone.
It was GG's.
Yeah.
And then after that, it became a baseball choke.
Okay.
Then it's like, if I caught you in a baseball choke, I've caught world champions with that baseball choke. People that have no reason submitting.
Yeah.
But it's just, it became my black belt move.
Nice.
So I will say in that aspect is like, as you develop, you're going to have moves where it's like, you can kind of let people work a little bit, but I have one of my students, Josh. Has amazing half guard game, quarter guard game. Really, it's rather half guard game. And it's like, if he gets in his position, he's so sticky and it's so tough.
Yeah.
And his butterfly is very good too. Other positions, when I break out of it, I feel comfortable with, and I can. But when I'm there, I'm like, I have to be locked in, because if not,
Yeah.
he'll sweep me. He'll catch me. He's caught me once already. And it's like, if you're not, that's my thing. Where I always tell my students, like, find your black belt move and get laser focused on it, get good at it, and then as you go, you're still going to develop a game. You're going to get your other submissions that are good. But that for me, I think is. Yeah, my little thing on that.
That's cool. Very cool. Those of us that have been stuck in Josh's half guard can attest.
Yes,
yeah, it's solid.
His half guard butterfly is so good.
Nice. And then I guess like you kind of end up finding things that are complementary to that move along the way, right? Like whatever the move is, like baseball choke. I'm guessing you had to find ways to get to the baseball choke, right? Like,
correct.
You might have the sharpest baseball choke, but if you're never there, you don't get a chance to use it, right? So, did you take? And this is like, I think really it varies from one person to another. But did you take to passing the guard like at first, or were you more into playing guard?
In the beginning, I was really into all of it. This is, again, I feel this is very important to have good coaches.
Yeah.
Because Professor Alberto and Coach Jonathan Gross both would be like, don't get comfortable with one or the other. You gotta do both. You just gotta keep playing both. You gotta keep doing both. And that for me is like really what I love doing both. Like I love passing, but I love playing bottom as well. I'm very comfortable with both. I think that's like very important too. And I think that again comes from having a good coach where they can teach you both, right? Because if you have a coach who's only ever plays bottom and then it's time to get on top, you're like, oh, you get lost,
100%, absolutely. So you've been competing, just back to competition for a second. You've been competing for like a long stretch.
I've competed at every belt.
Right.
Lost at every belt. I've medaled at every belt.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Have you seen like the competition scene change at all? Is it growing? Has it matured? Is it like the type of events? Are there more events than there used to be? Like how's it been?
It's definitely grown. It's definitely grown. It's definitely got bigger. IBJJF, I feel, has always been the top of the food chain. Pre-COVID, NABJJF used to be what Jiu-Jitsu World League is now.
Oh yeah. Okay.
NABJJF used to be like like if it was IBJJF and then you do NABJJFs,
okay.
Those were like the good ones. And then
that's North American.
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly. And then COVID hit, everything stopped, and Jiu-Jitsu World League was really the first one to come back. And I think that's what really helped them. They were doing outdoor events. That's actually where I ran into the black belt. Okay. The guy where we competed as blue belts together.
Wow.
They did the first outdoor event, and I think a lot of people missed competing, and they came back, and then Jiu-Jitsu really took advantage, and they do a great job. I think that how they thought about this tournament, and everybody gets 2 matches, because it does suck sometimes. You do an IBJJF, you pay $160, and you do 1 match, and it's like, bye,
one and done.
Of course, it's like the pressure of it is on it. That's good, but I think that's great to really do that. Also, I think it's cool because with IBJF, you go to semifinals. With both the 2 people lose, 2 people take 3rd place.
Right.
In World League, it's like that 3rd place medal. Sometimes it's harder than getting the gold.
Yeah.
You'll see someone you'll see people on the podium, and the person who got gold, it took maybe 2-3 matches, and the person who got bronze, it took him 5 or 6.
Wow.
Because you really have to earn it. So sometimes losing early, it sucks.
Yeah.
But that's where I feel Jiu-Jitsu is very good. You have to dig deep. And sometimes, a lot of the times, it's really more about mental.
Yeah.
It's about who wants it more, because both you're going to get someone who's also had 4 matches, you've had 4 matches, and it's like, you're both tired, but it's like, now who wants it more?
Yeah.
For this bronze too. It's not even gold. It's like bronze.
Yeah.
But
bragging rights. Too,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So not all medals are made the same. It's like, as my friend Hector Beltran says, not all medals show the full story.
Yeah.
But it's definitely grown. There's way more tournaments now. I mean, I think you could probably find a tournament every weekend if you wanted to, between Grappling X, NABJF, Jiu-Jitsu World League, IBJF. I mean, there's so many Nagas. You can, if you want to compete and test yourself and get better, there's so many. So many, which I definitely think I've seen it grown a lot compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think it's grown probably worldwide, but like when you're talking, again, as we mentioned, like Los Angeles is just such a hub, right? That like, Yeah, there is a lot. There's a lot, and just in California in general,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like Sacramento and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Was it like when you started? Was there as big of an emphasis on no-gi as there is today?
Definitely not.
No?
No. I feel the way ADCC has blown up. Like I mean, look at the ADCCs the way they were back then.
Yeah.
They could never even. They wouldn't even be able to talk about an arena. You know, that wasn't even a thing. You know, and now they're doing a T-Mobile arena, and then you go also CGI, yes, CGI.
Shout out Craig Jones.
Yeah, it's like that. I mean, but look at that. Like, I would probably even say that the match of the year was from there with Rutolo and Tackett.
Right.
I mean, that match was amazing.
Epic. Yeah.
And like I would say that was the match of the year from all gi and no gi matches. Like that. If I was gonna show someone like what's jiu-jitsu and they wanted to watch something and I want to show them an exciting match, that'd be the match I show them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it was so definitely no gi has blown up a lot more. It's and also, you know, back in the day, you know, attacking the heel hooks was like looked down upon.
Right.
You know, now it's become such a big thing. And I would say really, you know, Danaher and the Death Squad back then, they really put that on the map because I feel like 10th Planet's always been around, but again, they weren't dominating the way the Death Squad was with Gordon and Gary Tonin and Eddie Cummings. You know, like really that whole squad really was just dominating and it really showcased what no-gi can look like when you really put an emphasis and time in it.
Yeah.
Still, I still feel gi's never going to go away. And still, if you look, the majority of people who are winning ADCC are still doing the gi. I mean, look at Kanye Duarte, who just recently won the Open and does gi and no gi. So
Mika
Galvão. I mean, just like so many. Baby Shark also, you know, Diego Pato. It just, you know, I feel like there are a few who you break that, like Gordon Ryan, Giancarlo Badoni. You know, it's like a lot of these guys who only do specifically no gi, but the majority of them are still doing both. And I think it's going to be a really good and interesting match watching Gordon and Kynan face each other.
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting.
That's going to be the next ADCC super
the
fight,
main super fight.
Nice.
And I feel Kynan has improved a lot. It's going to be, he has actually that match that WNO recently announced with Nicky Rodriguez and Kynan. That's going to be a good test because I think if Kynan can look dominant in that match, that's going to say a lot for his match on how he's going to look against Gordon.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to say a lot. So
yeah. There's also that call out, that $2 million call out at the end of CJI. I wonder if we'll ever see.
Yeah, right? I don't think we'll see it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Gordon needs the money like that, you know?
Fair enough, yeah.
And I think now Gordon's in a place where he's like, you want to fight me, you got to earn it.
Right.
You know? Or it probably have to be something like 5 or 10 million, like where it's really like, okay, now it's worth it.
Yeah, you know? 100%. For the record, I will fight you, Nicky Rod, for 5 or 10 million, as long as I don't have to put up any money. It would be an absolute massacre. But
for him?
He would kill.
Okay.
I know it's hard to believe. So have you found that, like, with all that training, all that competing, there's some wear and tear? And if so, like, how do you manage it? Or is that, like, not really an issue for you, something to look forward to?
Yeah, no, I don't know if I want to look forward to it. But I feel with any sport, there's always over time wear and tear, you know, from baseball, tennis, I mean, football, jiu-jitsu, boxing. It's always, you're always going to have, especially if you're actively competing like that and you're training hard. I remember we talked about it, right? Like the K guard and the backside entry, you know?
That's
like
how I popped my knee.
Yeah, there's things that I will stay away from where I see him like, I don't know if I'll do that, you know? So I do feel like over time there is ones that thankfully I've never broken anything.
Yeah.
You know, and I've like obviously I've popped stuff and things like that, but never had anything severe where I've had to go to the hospital. And I've also always been very smart with my training. Like chokes, I will fight probably until like I'm about to pass out. But like arm bars or leg locks, I've never been done with them. Like if you know, this is something really big. Also, with my friend Hector talks about too is don't get a false sense of security in the gym with arm locks and leg locks, because in a tournament, not everybody's nice.
Right.
You know, and sometimes your arm is fully extended. Like I'll have people's arms fully extended.
Yeah.
And like even in a tournament, I'm like, I'll give you 2 seconds, but like, bro, you're not gonna tap. Like, I'm being nice here. You know, and like I feel sometimes people get a false sense of security, like in the gym, because people are nice and your arm is fully extended and you're like trying to fight it, and like you got to understand where it's like your arm's here and it's like you push your hips up into it and it's gonna go back. So I feel sometimes that's one of my biggest things I tell my students, like, don't get a false sense of security in the gym. Your arm is fully extended. Okay, maybe if you're able to hitchhike out of it and stuff, or maybe if you actually have the flexibility, like there are some people like you see their arms just all the way out and they just don't tap. Some they have just a freak flexibility. But for the most part, it's like your arm is extended. You're caught in the heel hook. Your ankle's all the way straight. Your knee bar, the knee's going all the way out. It's like, just tap it and call it a day, because I feel sometimes people will get that false sense of security and they go in a tournament. It's like, oh, I've escaped this before.
Right.
And then because people are not as nice in the tournament.
You know, I actually saw the last tournament I was at, I actually saw a few people's arms in slings. Like, you know, they just use their own belt to kind of sling it up. And I'm looking at it like it's not it's not impossible for it to happen. Accidents also happen. But like, I wonder also, could this have been avoided?
Exactly.
Right? Like,
exactly.
Is the silver medal at the World League worth it? You know, for like 3 months of no training.
It's like, brother, you gotta go clock in for your shift tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
So it's just like
Again, it reminds me of I think it was Kron Gracie and Gary Tonin, right, at ADCC in like 2019 or 20 something like that.
Yeah.
And somehow Gary just got out of that armbar, like kept moving, and this is unbelievable.
Yes.
We never got that rematch, actually. No. Hey, guys,
Kron ended up winning that match.
He did end up winning it with a rear naked choke, I think. Yeah. Both competitors, obviously, no slouches, right?
Yeah.
Like, but what a good segue, actually, for getting to know you maybe off the mats a little bit, too, because you do also exist outside of the mats.
Yes.
Right? Tell me a little bit about Anthony, like outside of jiu-jitsu. I know you do some acting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to be on HBO tomorrow. I have this is my fifth time I'm reoccurring right now on a show.
Okay.
Can't say yet, but it comes out spring 2025.
Awesome.
So my call time's at 6 a.m. Unfortunately.
Okay.
I got the email right before I came here.
No way. But, congratulations.
So acting is the other thing that I really enjoy doing as far as like career wise. You know, aside from jiu-jitsu, it's like acting is the other thing that I enjoy doing, and that also kind of happened by accident. The same when I moved to Hollywood in December of 2011, that same week when I found jiu-jitsu, it's a Hollywood story, I got discovered in a shoe store for modeling. I went shopping for some shoes.
Okay.
My modeling manager saw me there and he's like, hey, do you model? I used to have like short, spiky hair.
Okay.
And it was not long like this.
Yeah.
And then he found me and I said, yeah, I thought about money. He gave me his card. He's like, look me up. If you like what I do, he's like, then give me a call, which I like. It wasn't like, yeah, I can do this for you. I can do that for you. You know how I work with this person. He's like, here's my card. Check me out. If you like what I do, give me a call. We'll set up a test shoot. We did a couple of test shoots that they came from me. He told me to grow out my hair. And he's like, let's see how it works. So I grew out my hair and then I got booked. And then I started booking a whole bunch of modeling gigs. And then from that, I led into commercials.
Okay.
And then I was doing music. I went to school for music.
Nice.
I got my AA in guitar and music.
All right.
And then from there, I got an agent. So that kind of all just like flowed and happened by accident in a way. And then I realized I liked it. And
that's so cool.
Yeah. And like, that's how that happened. So acting is the other thing I do. I love to horseback ride. That's like more of a hobby, but I love horseback riding. It's very peaceful.
Yeah.
Going on trail. I get to tell my horse all my secrets and won't tell anybody else. Nice.
Yeah, they're pretty good at keeping them out.
Yeah, exactly. Just got to give it some carrots and they'll make it.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Nice.
So
that what a fateful week then for you in Hollywood at that point, right?
Yeah. Literally my first week there was finding jiu-jitsu, getting discovered in a shoe store for modeling, and then everything snowballed from there.
Yeah. Fantastic, man. All right, we're back. We're joined again today by Anthony Cruz, professor, black belt, second Dan? First Dan, black belt under Professor Alberto Crane, also the owner and head instructor of Legacy Glendale.
Yes.
Oh, man. Yeah. So from training jiu-jitsu, competing in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, to getting your black belt, to opening up a school. That's a journey already in and of itself. Can you like maybe walk us through the point in your life where you were like, this is maybe more than just me teaching a class every now and then. Like, I think I want to own a school. And like, when did was it a mindset like that changed at some point? When did you have that thought, and how did you go from there to where we are today?
The truth, I never had any aspirations to open a school.
For real, for real.
Never. It just right place, right time type of thing. So
Okay. Right.
I've done every position within the gym that you could possibly think of. From when I first started, I actually almost quit jiu-jitsu because I couldn't afford it. I was a kid going to college. I was a young kid going to school for music.
Yeah.
Tight with money, you know, have ramen for dinner, you know. Yeah. Actually, that's a lie. My mom would cook for me.
Thanks, Mom.
I'm sorry. I can't pretend like I was like a real struggler.
Okay, fair enough.
Thankfully, my mom took care of me. But still, financially myself, I mean, I was not like rolling in it. Right? It was,
of course,
So I was going, like I said, I was going to school for music and a college kid, and I almost quit jiu-jitsu. I think I was like 3 months in. And it was just like, I can't afford the tuition. I'm gonna have to go tell him I need to stop. That week, one of the assistant kid coaches moved.
Okay.
And I was training a lot. I was doing 2, sometimes 3 a days.
Nice.
Like I'd go to the morning class, the 6 a.m. class. I'd come back home, go back for the 11 a.m. class, go to school, walk back over, go for the 6 p.m. class, and then go home. Okay. So sometimes I do that. Sometimes I only do twice. But I was always, no matter what, for sure, twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. So I was hooked. And that week when I was going in to tell him that I was gonna, like when my next month membership was gonna come up, I was gonna tell him not to renew it. Yeah. He said, Jonathan takes me into the office and he's like, hey, I need to talk to you. And I was like, uh-oh. And he said, what did I do? And he's like, hey, so one of our assistant kids coaches, he's gonna be moving at the end of the month, and you train a lot, you're here. Wanted to see if you'd be interested in helping us coach twice a week, and in exchange you get a comp membership. I was like, oh, that's great. Yeah. This would take next month. We start next month. Yeah. So it worked out.
That's funny.
And and who knows where my life goes and what happens. Yeah. Because usually, a lot of times, especially at that stage, you stop. It's very hard to come back. Yeah. You come back, you usually come and go. We've seen it so many times, right? Yeah. So that was like a blessing in disguise. I started assistant coaching. And I would also clean the bathrooms and clean off the gyms, you know. And then of course, from there, Alberto had multiple schools. He had Encino, he had Woodland Hills, he had Burbank, he had Hollywood. Nice. So he had all these 4 schools. My main gym was a Hollywood gym. And then from there, I started assisting and coaching over at the Woodland Hills location with the kids. Okay. I'm sorry, not Woodland Hills, Encino. Okay. Encino location, which that was the original Legacy, by the way. Okay. And they went Gracie Baja, and then Alberto later wanted to just be Legacy, and Alberto sold off all his schools and just kept Legacy Burbank. Right. And he which was Gracie Baja Burbank at the time, then he changed it to Legacy Burbank. And then Professor Mark Bradford took over, which was Legacy Hollywood, or Gracie Baja Hollywood. Then later turned that into Clube Hollywood. Right. And through that's where Vitor came in, Ariel, Felix, Andrea. Nice. Just a whole bunch of Austin, a whole bunch of people who still train today. Yeah. A lot of us who are black belts, we're all training together there. So it's very cool. So anyway, so I go through, I've just done it all. Like assistant coaching, then I started coaching the adult classes, then the advanced classes at Burbank when I was a black belt. And I got my black belt in 2019. Took me like about 8 years to get my black belt. And after I got my black belt, I was never like, oh, now it's time to open up a school. I just love training. I love jiu-jitsu's lifestyle for me, never gonna stop. Yeah. And then Alberto was the one who told me, he's like, hey, can you come to Glendale and manage the gym and help with the kids program, because it just needs some love and it needs some help. So I said, okay, sure. Came here, and then it was like a couple of weeks later, he's like, hey, what do you think about being partners with Legacy Glendale? I was like, well, never gonna stop training. Yeah. Sure. And that's how it happened. It was just like I said, right place, right time. Yeah. And when I started here, Professor Vitor, who was my first coach that I brought here with me. And I have a picture of him and I sitting in a circle here with 7 kids. Nice. Now we get 35 to 40 kids per class.
Amazing.
And it's like, it's been so cool to see it grow.
Yeah.
And like the parents, how much they've seen the change with the kids program and how much they love it. And it's just been very, very, very cool. And yeah, I hadn't coached kids in a long time before coming back here. I was only doing adults. So,
Right.
the coaching kids, I was like, but you really grow attached, and it can be a lot sometimes with the kids, but it's very, very rewarding watching them, and also just like being a part of their life and being part of something that they're really gonna take with them for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Like basketball, you do it for a certain time. Football, you do it for the baseball. Like I love all the sports, but I don't go play baseball now. I don't. Jiu-jitsu is something that no matter what, I'll always be able to use it and apply it if ever needed. And I think that's something so cool with these kids, that they're always gonna remember us, whether they continue on or whether if there's some reason they stop. It's always gonna be something that will be a small part of their life.
And for those that follow you online, like you can see there are pizza parties,
Yes.
There's events that like will give the parents a night off, right? And the kids come here, they get to have a good time.
We just had a pizza party yesterday, and Jess was talking about it. The first pizza party they did, we had 12 kids. It's Jess Santino and Josh, they're the ones who run it. But when they first day, it was 12 kids. And yesterday we had 44 kids.
My goodness.
And some of the parents who have been here from the first pizza party, like, oh my gosh, I remember when it was just 12 kids.
Yeah.
And the parents, when they drop their kids off, they're, thank you so much. We're gonna have a date night tonight.
Yeah, of course.
So it's cool. It's like the parents enjoy it, the kids love it, they have fun.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's so cool to see the growth.
Yeah.
When I was first here, we used to have Tiny Champs only Monday and Wednesday. And then I decided to expand it to 6 times a week because I'm just like, why are we doing the Tinies only twice a week?
And Tiny is what's the age range?
That's age ranges 3 to 5 and 6 to 7.
Okay.
And then, but at the time it was actually only 3 to 5.
Okay.
And the 6 to 7s were with our 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds. And for me, I thought the way a 6-year-old learns and the way a 10-year-old learns is very different.
Yeah.
Like they're still like, there's still kids who are still second grade and the third grade. So I'm just like, and our 10-year-olds are already much older, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds. So I decided to change that format. I did 3 to 5, 6 to 7.
Okay.
And then I just expanded it to 6 times a week.
Nice.
And it's just like, it's all about I think with everything, it's all about consistency. Our first Saturday class here, I used to just do it by myself, and Jess works the front desk.
Yeah.
And it was like 2-3 kids.
Yeah.
And then we started getting like 6, 7, 8 kids, and I had Coach Emily started helping me on Saturdays, and it was just her and I, like 6 kids, 7 kids. Now, our last Saturday class, we had 36 kids.
Oh my goodness!
On a Saturday, and some of the parents who again have been here from the beginning, like, I remember when it used to just be like 8 kids.
Yeah.
It was nice. I mean, it's like, I'm happy for you. Obviously, it's growing.
Yeah.
Like, because and now I have 6 coaches with me on a Saturday, where before it used to be me and just Emily, and now I got 6, sometimes 7 coaches on a Saturday because it's needed.
Well, I was gonna say, I was gonna ask you actually, like, how do you manage 36 kids and still convey, some jujitsu in that context, and not just like herding cats, right?
Again, it's one. I really think it's about having a great team, but not just about having a great team, but a great team that believes in your vision, right? Because if I have the vision, but if the team wants it to fail, if they don't believe in it, it's never going to work.
Right.
It's never going to work. But if you have a team that, I'm very blessed with the team that I have, that they just have my back 100%. And and I'm another thing I feel that's very important, and I learned this through magic. Actually, I used to be a professional magician. I performed at the Magic Castle. If you ever want to go, if you ever want to go to the Magic Castle, let me know. When I'm performing there again, I will let you know.
Okay, all right.
But I learned. I got my first job when I was 17, working at Disneyland as a magician. And then at 18, I debuted at the Magic Castle, and I've been performing there since. But I learned a lot of things through magic, but one of the things I never forget was a good friend of mine. His name's John George, world champion magician. He's like, his titles that he have is like winning worlds at IBJJF. That's like the equivalent to what he is. Multiple time. And we used to have magic jams, and he used to ask me and a couple other friends of mine that were younger than him. I was like 18, 19 at the time, for our opinions. He would perform his act. And I'm like, dude, and I remember one time asking, like, why do you ask us for it? I'd be like, you're a world champion magician. Like, and the stuff that you're doing is amazing. He's like, because you guys change with the times. And as I get older, I can't change with the times as fast.
Fair enough, yeah.
He says, and sometimes you guys have given me ideas and have given me constructive criticism, or tell me if a joke is shit. And I don't know if we can curse.
Yeah, you're
But
good,
tell me if a joke is not good, and we'll say, oh, I've heard multiple magicians already use this one,
right.
and I'll be like, oh, I got to change it. So and I remember he told me like never ever be closed-minded from taking opinions from someone, even if they have less experience than you, or if they're younger than you, because you will never know. They sometimes and that for me I've always taken,
Nice.
and I will always tell my team I will have ideas. And I will always implement them. And maybe it won't always work. Maybe it's not the best. And I always tell them, if you all ever have an opinion or have an idea that you think is better, please bring it to the. And there's been multiple times that they've had ideas or opinions and ideas that work better than what I had.
Yep.
But I think it's important to not have that ego and be like, oh, I'm the boss and it's my way and that's it. Because if you're too close-minded, it's not going to work. And I feel that's where having a great team, but having a team that feels valued, which I really try to do, and working together as a team and not being a boss but a leader, because I'm here 6 times a week.
Yeah.
Teaching the kids 6 times a week here. Also adult classes here. I know how to work the front desk as well. I know the whole system, and I feel that's very important between being a boss and a leader, because that's where the team will respect you. Because if you're out there in the fire with them, if you're on the boat and you're going, if this boat sinks, I'm sinking with you guys.
Yeah.
But we're gonna take this island no matter what. We're gonna conquer this island no matter what we do together.
Nice.
That's where really they're like, I'm with it. Let's go.
Nice.
And I feel it's very important. And that's how we run an amazing kids program. I feel, because the parents have talked about it so many times. They're like, man, you guys really work as a team together, and you guys could tell have an amazing camaraderie and work well together, and that comes from just, again, the team having my back and all of us working together as a team.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's awesome. You can tell too from the pictures, even just on like Instagram, for example, right? Like genuine smiles, not only from the kids but from the parents, right? From all the coaches, right? Some of which are blue belts, right? You got blue belts, brown belts, purple belts, black belts, like, so a lot of experience on the mats, and you really feel like there's a cohesive sort of family, but also like business-minded approach to Legacy Glendale.
So one of my favorite quotes is like having serious fun. Yeah, it's like I learned that when I used to work in corporate. And that was like one of my favorite quotes that I always say, like, you have fun, but we have serious fun, where it's like still business. We can have fun, but it's business still.
It's is open on time, all the time. And for sure. That's awesome. And I mean, the kids program has got to be, would you say it's like the backbone at this point of the school? Like, it seems to be a driver for traffic at the very least.
I would say so. I would say, I always still focus on putting a great adult program and having a great curriculum and great techniques to teach, but definitely the kids program is like, I feel with a lot of gyms, it's like always you're leading charge,
Nice.
And then the future, it's like there's kids I see, right? Some of my tiny champs, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, I watch them doing their super fights. I'm like, man, thank goodness this kid's not in my weight class, because like,
exactly.
it would be like
100%.
Stay, like
problem,
I could even look at like Superman, for example. He's like Matthews, his real name, but
of course,
he's a purple belt. He's a purple belt right now.
He's a purple belt right now.
He came through our kids program. I mean, it's like he's been here with our kids program, and he did our summer camps.
Nice.
And like, and you've watched him grow up, and the kid's an animal now. He's so good. I see him just toying with some adults. He's just like. And like, again, he came from the kids program. That just shows you, it's like when you put time into these kids and you watch them grow up, and he's still a kid now. He's still, I don't know how he's like 16, 17, something maybe like that, 18. Or maybe he's older, because I think he's in college now. But whatever it is, he's still a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, it's just like, I roll with him sometimes. Like, man, this kid's just so good. Like, he's so good now. And it's like before, where you kind of like, you mess around with the kids, like, I can't mess around, because he gets a triangle, he's gonna take advantage of it. He's gonna really try to finish. So and I respect that. So that's for me. It's definitely, I think that always think long term.
Yeah, nice. I think it speaks to your approach to jiu-jitsu and your leadership too. Like, at least from the outside looking in, it feels as though, like one of the main lessons in jiu-jitsu, I think that it's rammed down our throat. Like, we don't even have a choice but to learn it over the course of time, is that like you leave your ego at the door.
Yes.
Right. And like, for some people, like myself, for example, it took longer to kind of learn that lesson. I still kept showing up, and ultimately now it's like, okay, I'm pretty sure it's left at the door. It doesn't mean you're not competitive, but
Yeah.
you know, the ego doesn't do you any help. You know, it doesn't help. But it really feels as though you're leaving it all on the mats. You know, whether you're training, whether you're teaching, you know, or you're leading your team within the school. So I think that's really great.
Yes. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
As far as like coaching and now competing, you're also seeing the competition from the other side. You're seeing it from the coach's side, right? Because you're often at these competitions. In some cases, you're not only competing, you're also coaching your athletes, some of which are the coaches here. Others are actually the kids here, right? So how, like, do you approach that competition differently at all? Is it a different mindset or is it the same? How do you approach coaching versus being the one that's competing on the mat?
I mean, I will say I get more nervous now for my kids and my students, my adult students before they compete.
Yeah.
I try to keep it like sucked in,
cool,
you know, but
cool.
like I'm actually not a big fan of competing when my students are going to compete. I did do it at the last World League, but then it's like, for example, like Damon, him and I compete at the same time, and it's like I'd rather just be there for him and coach them because like I've already competed so much. I've already medaled at all the belts. It's like for me, it's a lot more rewarding watching them go out there and compete and win and do well, you know, and than me going out there. You know, I still have fun competing. I do love competing, but it's definitely sometimes tough to be in both the mindsets. You know, of like, because it's like you should get your mindset ready to go out there and compete, but then also be out there for your students. And sometimes have to be running back and forth. So but I do love coaching. I love preparing the kids and the adults for the competitions and watching them go out there and compete.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how is it different preparing somebody else for competition than it is preparing yourself?
I would say definitely, because you got to find what suits them and because you know things maybe not all my students are going to be going out there to do baseball chokes, right? And not all of them are going to be doing ankle locks, you know. But I got to find things that work for them and things that are still good in my game that I really like that I can pass on to them for them to do well and for them to apply. So I definitely think it's like as a coach, you have to be able to see what works best for your students. Also show them things that like, hey, I think you should start applying this more and do this more to better them and get them ready.
Nice. Yeah. That leads me to a question I think I already know the answer to, but is it more satisfying to win the gold yourself or to see your students win the gold?
No, I think my students for sure. For sure, definitely. For example, like Jessica, I gave her a blue belt on the podium after she won pans.
Nice.
And that for me was like so cool because I've had like, Jessica and Emily both since they were practically no stripe white belts. I think maybe Jess was no stripes, Emily was like a one stripe. So I've really got to like work with them and watch them develop. And we went out to Florida and then watching Jess win pans was like,
that's a big tournament.
That's a big tournament. It was so cool to be able to help her get there and for her to watch her win and go out there and, you know, display her jiu-jitsu and win and then give her a blue belt on the podium was like, amazing. It was great. So for me, that's been really, 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 really cool. Francisco was like another one of our blue belts. He's a stud and like just he's been on a tear. He won gold 2 weeks ago and then he won gold last week at Jiu-Jitsu World League. But last week I felt was his biggest test because there was 2 matches where he was down and one of them he won in the last 20 seconds.
Nice.
He had his back taken. He was down 4-0. He passed the guard.
Nice.
And he ended up escaping. He passed the guard. He got his 3 points. Then he popped up me on belly. Then he went over to Mal and it was just like, ah! And, you know, like I felt like, and there was another match where again, he was losing and he came back to choke out his opponent and win. And I told him like, this is really where you grow. Nice. So you get tested like this because fighting back through adversity sometimes is hard when you look at the clock and you're down 4-0 and there's 60 seconds left. Sometimes that could just break you mentally and be like, I'm just going to defend and whatever I lost. I'll just take silver. I'll just take bronze.
Yeah.
And it's like for him to keep fighting back and not just fighting back, but come back to win and win gold. Nice. I told him like, that really is where like you have to dig deep. And that's something that nobody can teach you. That's just like, you either have that here and here or you don't. Like you can have all the techniques in the world, but if you get broken out there mentally, you know, it's not gonna matter how good you are.
That's a fact. It's got to feel good too to see the techniques that you're teaching also here on a daily basis being applied, you know, in that combat setting.
Definitely,
right?
Definitely.
If anything, like, it's a different experience, right? When you're in your class, you're in your comfort zone, so to speak, right? You're with your friends and you're training. You don't need to win a role per se, or you didn't do so well in one role, you might do really well in the next one.
Yes.
But the competition is kind of like, all right, well, it's now.
Yes.
And so, yeah. On the next segment, which is about just jiu-jitsu lifestyle and cross training, and how cross training, if any, how does it fit in, and like, what's your take on, is it good to train other grappling arts, or is it good to change pace and do something like striking, or is, you know, in your opinion, it best to just do more jiu-jitsu, basically?
I definitely think it's good to expand. Like, I do Muay Thai as well.
Mhm.
I love Muay Thai. I got into Muay Thai a couple of years after I was doing jiu-jitsu. I was training with Team Victory Muay Thai, actually, and with Crew Rod, and it was a great experience, great gym. I learned a lot. And then I like doing a little bit of MMA too. Like, I love, like, you know, I would never want to be an MMA fighter. Never.
Okay. It's a tough job.
Yeah, that lifestyle is just not for me. I don't want to get punched in the face.
Fair enough.
I'd rather get paid for my face to hack me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but yeah, I do think it's very good. I think it's good to expand.
Yeah.
And do other martial arts just to kind of see what it is, and also I think cross training, I don't really see an issue. I think it's actually good to cross train. You get to meet other people. You get to meet see what other gyms are like, you know. And I think as long as you have confidence in yourself and in your gym and what you offer, it shouldn't be like, don't go to the gym and be worried that you're gonna lose your students over there. Because, you know, if what you're offering is good, then, you know, they're not gonna leave.
Yeah, absolutely. You actually offer Muay Thai here.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So
yes.
we're
We
gonna
have
get
Muay
into
Thai here as well. Bang Muay Thai.
Nice. I had the privilege of actually seeing Dwayne Bang Ludwig get his brown belt from
really?
Professor Alberto Crane,
Recently,
just
right?
like very recently. Yeah.
That's awesome.
What I was referring to earlier, right? About like you growing up in this mecca of jiu-jitsu and just martial arts in general, right? Like, you never know, on a random Tuesday you show up and then like one of the greats is there getting a belt from another one of the greats, you know?
Seriously. Yeah. It is so cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, absolutely. Is there like, as a head coach, do you have a different approach with somebody who is like doing this for a hobby and somebody that's like, Anthony, I want to compete? Like, do you approach them differently, or in a class setting, is everybody the same?
I mean, I would say, as far as like the approach would be, as far as what the training and the goals. You know, it's like, if you want to compete, you definitely got to put a little more time in than what a hobbyist is putting in, right?
Yeah.
And not everybody wants to compete, which is fine. I think you should compete if you want to compete, but I don't think it should ever be like everybody has to compete. I think everybody should at least do it one time.
Yeah.
Just to do it.
Yeah.
Not saying like you train and like you go out there, you got to try to win, but I think everybody should do it one time just to at least feel that.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a thing where it's like you have to do it. But I do think if you do want to compete, the way you train and prepare is definitely has to be different from a hobbyist.
Right. Yeah. That's a good insight. I think, like, you've probably heard this before. Would you agree that you're going to compete the way that you train? Like, if you train and you're lazy and you pull guard, then you're going to have a tendency to maybe give up a position in the context of a match.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah. I'm very big on that. It's like the way you train is even I say like the way you drill your techniques. You know, it's like, how are you going to like, if you're drilling sloppy, and you're not getting all the details correct, when you actually try to hit it live, it's most likely not going to work because you weren't even drilling it correctly. Right. You know, so I think that's like, that all falls into it.
Nice. Yeah. And then, you know, every now and then it'll happen. It's not like a high contact sport, or I guess it technically is, because we do takedowns and throws and, you know, the beauty of jiu-jitsu is that you can go, one of the great things for me anyhow is that you can go hard and still, you know, be okay to go to work the next day and whatever. But every now and then, and where I'm going with this is that there's going to be an injury that'll happen, you know, at some point in everybody's journey, right? Something gets tweaked, bent back the other way or something like that. what's your kind of advice for somebody who like maybe hurt their knee or, you know, wants to come back, but is now also dealing with like, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of anxiety towards training. Like, what do you tell somebody who just got hurt, basically?
Take the time.
Yeah.
Don't rush to come back. I always see so many people because they missed it too.
Yeah.
They come back sooner than what they should, and sometimes they get re-injured.
Yeah.
And it gets worse.
Right.
Like, take the time, relax, come in and just watch. If you want to just kind of take it in, or even if you can move, just come do techniques and don't roll.
Yeah.
But you know, and I feel like if you do got anxiety, like you got injured, it's part of the game, and it's just with everything. I mean, you can walk out and trip over the sidewalk and sprain your ankle.
100%.
It's you know, you're doing a contact sport, and it happens. And I think as long as everybody's training to get better, not try to hurt each other, right? Then, you know, it's sometimes, like I said, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. Our goal is to always try to avoid it happening as much as possible.
Yeah.
You know, but when it does happen, to make sure our students are okay, make sure they, you know, see if they need anything, then help them with the recovery and make sure they take the time. But take the time. Don't come back sooner than what you think you can.
Nice. Yeah, good advice. So, first of all, Anthony, like, thank you again.
Thank you.
Know, for joining me and chatting. Yeah, sharing some of your experience and your journey, right? Which I think was the word I was looking for initially, in jiu-jitsu, which is, you know, obviously looking extremely bright and hopefully goes on for many, many, many years, right? In the meantime, if you're interested in training or getting to know the man better, let us know what your address, your website, your schedule.
Our address, 705 South Brand Boulevard, Glendale, California, 91204.
91204. There you go.
Anyway, come on and train. We have classes 6 days a week. 6 days a week. Kids, adults, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai with Coach Hove, amazing Muay Thai coach, and Jiu-Jitsu. I teach it. We got Coach X, Coach Will, Coach Josh. We teach all our adult classes, and then our kids classes, we got multiple coaches.
Nice.
Yeah.
Amazing. Come check it out, guys. 100% like best jiu-jitsu in Glendale.
Arigato.
Oh man.
Thank you, man.
I appreciate
Thank
you,
you.
man.